Come in.
Hey, Sam, got a minute?
Yeah, come on in.
Oh, cool. I'm Matt. I just want to say I'm new here.
Matt Doherty.
Yes, yep.
Sam DeCoste, host of the Box Score. How you doing?
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, no, this is great. This is great. Sort of a lifelong dream of mine to work. Yeah, just like it was a lifelong dream of mine to work on the Box Score. So I just want to say thanks. You know, I was pretty new. Yeah, I've actually been, introduced to everybody. They're really, really great. You got a good group of people here. So, yeah, I actually got some pitches. So for some things about the show, if you're interested.
That's great, Matt.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know if you want to hear them or.
That's great, Matt.
Okay. Yeah, everyone's just been really nice.
That's great, Matt.
Hey Sam, I heard they have your rugby shirts for sale at Primark.
That's great, Matt.
Hey Sam, heard they're relocating the Bills to Albuquerque.
That's great, Matt.
Hey Sam, guess who's outside? Michael Bublé.
That's great, Matt.
Ridiculous.
Oh yeah, we're back, baby. Welcome to the season premiere of The Box Score. I'm your host, Sam DeCoste. Here to remind you that Julio Rodriguez was in diapers the last time the Seattle Mariners were in the playoffs. Looks like the franchise has done some growing up since then, and we've done some glowing up. Welcome back. We start in the NFL tonight, where we witnessed some heavyweight quarterback duels on Sunday. The first happening in Baltimore between the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. And Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, two MVP favorites, getting ready to go to battle. And there's Josh Allen coming out of the tunnel, getting ready. But Lamar Jackson and the Ravens would come out swinging first. Inside 2 minutes, J.K. Dobbins on the touchdown reception from Lamar Jackson. That coming after a Josh Allen interception on the third play of the game. Then J.K. Dobbins, another touchdown for him in the quarter on the handoff. The Ravens would go up 14-3 in the first quarter. They'd have a 20-3 lead in the second quarter. Everything's coming up purple right now, and Buffalo are stuck in the blues. But they would rally. Josh Allen to Isaiah McKenzie in the end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo. That makes it a 10-point game at halftime. Then, down by 7, third quarter, Allen rolls out to his left. He has some room to run. It's a designed quarterback run. Shimmies Marlon Humphrey. He's in the end zone for the touchdown. That ties the game at 20. They were down by 17, and they're all the way back thanks to number 17. Then Baltimore go on a 14-play, 9.5-minute drive. And then Lamar Jackson on 4th and goal. They turn down the 3. They go for it all, and Lamar turns the ball over. It's intercepted by Jordan Poyer in the end zone. And Jackson and the Ravens come out empty on the possession. Next Bills possession. Allen in Ravens territory, running for his life, rolls out to his left, looking downfield. He finds Khalil Shakir, a rookie receiver on the sidelines, and that sets up this. Tyler Bass with zeros on the clock, the walk-off field goal. The Bills steal one on the road. It's their largest comeback victory since 2011. Bills win this one. Final score, Bills 23, Ravens 20. I'm now joined on stage Cam Manning, Faith Pinnow, and Jackson Tolliver. Now, Cam, over to you first. That was a great signature win for Buffalo. What do you take away from it?
I think a way that the team has played that started off slow in a couple games so far this year, but you got to play 4 quarters against this Buffalo Bills team. They're complete on all levels, on defense, on offense. They're just a complete juggernaut of a team. Josh Allen's leading this team, MVP candidate this year. And then on defense, you have the addition of Von Miller. Then you have Tremaine Edmonds, Matt Milano, Elam, the first-round pick out of Baylor.
Out of Florida.
Florida, sorry, my bad. Florida. But you have to see how good this Buffalo Bills team is to notice that, like, they're not going to slow down. You got to play 4 quarters against this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I think the biggest problem that Bills faced, particularly in the first half, was that they just couldn't run the ball consistently. I mean, you did have your quarterback, you had Josh Allen leading the team in rushing yards, and their offense was moving. It just wasn't moving enough to go up against the Ravens. I think what they did do great in the second half was their defense really kicked it up a notch. I mean, they held them scoreless, the Ravens, and that was huge for the Bills.
I would really agree with that, honestly. And you know what I really took from this game? Lamar Jackson is not a top 3 MVP candidate for me. He's done this twice now. He can't get it done when it matters most. I'd take Josh Allen first right now. I'd take Mahomes second, and I'd take Jalen Hurts at 3. I think we also see that Josh Allen can do things on the ground and he can do things in the air way better than Lamar can.
So you put a lot of blame on Lamar Jackson for that game. Because also, this is not the first time that the Ravens blew a 17-point lead in a game at home. They get it against the Dolphins, too. So you put a lot of blame on Lamar Jackson.
I mean, listen, the defense is letting up 13 points in that second half, but the Ravens didn't even score a point. You know what I mean? And I mean, you know, part of it's on Lamar, part of it's on Harbaugh. Maybe you should have went for 3 there at the end of the game. But, you know, knowing that Bills offense, I can't blame him for the call. But for me personally, this game shows how big of a difference there is in skill and in value and just how valuable Josh Allen is compared to Lamar Jackson.
I mean, yeah. I think personally that Baltimore needs to get consistent on both sides of the ball. The consistency is there from the offense. In that Miami game, for instance, that offense was coming and clicking. Mark Andrews, Duvernay, like you have all these players that are clicking on all cylinders, scoring 36 points against a Miami team. You think you win that game.
No,
the defense
doesn't
show up.
I agree. I think that's what alarm bells are going off for Ravens fans right now, because it's the fact that clearly they're not finishing games. That's the biggest thing. I don't think that a lot of the blame should be on Lamar Jackson necessarily. I think, yeah, he threw no touchdowns in the second half of that game. It was abysmal. However, I think that it goes way, way further than Lamar. And I mean, he's been doing a lot for the Ravens.
So Josh Allen, best quarterback in the NFL right now after that game?
Yeah, I think
MVP showdown.
I mean, him and Patrick Mahomes have been just dazzling, making plays that like prime Patrick Mahomes and prime Josh Allen usually make, and they make it with, like Jackson said, both their legs and their arm. They make plays that seem like they're going nowhere into something crazy.
Yeah, I think we've just been seeing less mistakes, especially from Josh Allen this season.
Let me just take this real quick. I would give it to Mahomes right now, personally. I think Josh Allen's going to win the MVP because I think the Bills are going to perform better. But you got to think that Mahomes has no weapons anymore. I mean, his number 1 wide receiver is Juju Smith-Schuster. Not as good as he was his first couple seasons in the league. He's sort of fallen off a little bit. You got to think Josh Allen still has Stephon Diggs, who's easily a top 5 receiver in the NFL. Mahomes lost Tyreek. He doesn't have anything close to that anymore. So I think that skill-wise, I would still give it to Mahomes by just a little bit because Josh Allen has those pieces around him.
I would say Josh Allen, for the prototypical build that he has as an athlete, the way he's performing for the Bills, he has to be seen as, honestly, the ultimate equalizer in the NFL right now, the best individual player, because as a runner, he's a bulldozer. He runs like a bowling ball. He can pile drive you. He can stiff arm you. Also, as a passer, he has maybe the best arm strength in the league. He has a bazooka for an arm. I don't know how anyone else can win MVP. And after that game, in a game where it was pouring rain, when nothing was working in the first half, to come back against a really good football team on the road, that has to be a huge MVP moment for Josh Allen.
I'll give you that when the Bills actually get something done for me, because they haven't gotten past the championship yet, and Mahomes has been in the Super Bowl twice.
It's only been 4 weeks.
Yeah,
it's only been 4 weeks.
It hasn't been 4 weeks, and you know what? I'll admit that once the Bills get some of those defensive pieces back, they're going to be a true contender in this league for that Super Bowl.
Well, Tolliver, let me tell you something. I cannot advance the calendar. Maybe I'm not good enough of a host to do that. But anyways, let's move on. Let's head down south to Tampa for a Super Bowl rematch. 2 of the NFL's greatest quarterbacks in ever and right now went head-to-head last weekend in prime time for the 6th time Mahomes and Brady facing off. But Mahomes, he woke up feeling red hot that day. He finds Travis Kelce for the 16-yard touchdown strike 46 seconds into the game. And this Travis Kelce, he gives him a little jiggy, turns on the jukebox. Andy Reid is pumped up. That comes after the Bucs fumble the opening kickoff. And then Mahomes flushed out, looking. Check this out. Ready? Spin cycle on Devin White. Flick of the wrist. Wide open. Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas City. Everything's going Kansas City's way right now. Mahomes is the main character in the simulation. 18-point lead for the Chiefs in the second quarter. But when you have Tom Brady on your team, you're never out of a game, and he finds Mike Evans in the end zone for the touchdown. The Bucs not going away quietly, and then they would get another touchdown right before halftime. He throws to Mike Evans back of the end zone again, makes the touchdown reception, second of the quarter, and makes it 28-17 at halftime. The Bucs trying to build some momentum going into halftime. We call that Big Mo here on the box score, but the team from Mo, Missouri that is, getting the touchdown to set the exclamation point for the Chiefs. Chiefs would control the game throughout. Final score 41-31 to Kansas City. So, Tolliver, over to you first on the Chiefs-Bucs game. The Chiefs, honestly, after losing to the Colts last week, looked unstoppable against the Buccaneers in a Super Bowl rematch.
That is true. They did look unstoppable, but for me, that defense still concerns me. I mean, you're giving up 31 points still, so it's iffy, and that's what's challenged them in the past. But you're still putting up those great numbers. But for me, the Chiefs just aren't as complete of a team, nearly as much as the Bills are. I think they got a lot worse in the offseason. They lost pieces that were really important to them. Tyreek Hill, for one, that's a pretty big piece. Regardless, I would still take teams like the Bills. I'd still take teams like the Eagles over the Chiefs as of right now. And I'm not done with Tampa yet either, but we'll get back to that.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Tolliver. I think the big thing is that, yeah, they lost Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs, but they still looked great. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was able to connect, really make use of his tight ends, his running backs. The 5 of the Chiefs' points were scored by running backs or tight ends in that game. And I think their defense was pretty complete. I think they only had 2 plays of more than 20 yards for that entire game that they let the Bucs get over on them. I mean, they were making the Bucs go long and really just time-consuming drives. And that's, I think, a huge piece of why they won.
I think another huge piece to tie into this is that Tampa Bay only had 3.4 yards on the ground per carry. I mean, you're asking Tom Brady, 45 years old, to throw the ball 50-plus times against the Chiefs defense. I mean, you're asking a lot out of Tom Brady, even at 45.
And he had 3 rushing yards as a team, so this is a completely imbalanced offensive attack. So they made Tom Brady do all by himself. And in the end, also for the Chiefs, no Tyreek Hill, no problem. They're leaning on Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore. Travis Kelce is obviously the best tight end in the NFL right now, but with that supporting cast, how can you expect the Chiefs to be this dominant? That's very scary for the NFL.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes just hits his checkdowns. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is having a great season so far this year, and he's been instrumental to this Chiefs offense, both on the ground and in the passing game. I think that Patrick Mahomes is making the best out of his situation, and that the Chiefs are having a more balanced offensive attack really helped them beat the Bucs in this game.
For sure.
All right, we're going to head to commercial break now, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, we're playing a little contenders and pretenders in the NFL. Are the Jaguars for real? And are the Rams phonies? All that and more after the break. You're watching The Box Score.
All right, come back in 10 seconds. Ready, camera 1. Camera 1, you wide shot of the entire thing, and in 3, 2, 1, take. Tell cue.
Welcome back to Emerson College. Emerson
Camera
trails
4, get a shot of the players coming across the court.
10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point. As
Camera 2 close on the person shooting.
Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson's hoping to pull away and score this big.
Camera 1 gonna close the follow them over.
Emerson trails WPI 10 points. 10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point as the team finishes their timeout.
Camera 1 close up on number 33.
Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson's hoping to pull away.
Follow the ball, follow the ball.
Welcome back to The Box Score. I'm Sam DeCoste here alongside Faith Pinnow and Cam Manning and Jackson Schock. A little Jackson for Jackson transaction. Sorry, that was my infraction. Anyways, the quarter season mark in the NFL is upon us. It's time to start asking the questions everyone's been too afraid to ask. Who are the contenders and who are the pretenders? Schock, over to you first. The Philadelphia Eagles are the only unbeaten team left. Contenders, I presume?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in my opinion, they're the most fun team to watch out on the field right now. It's because the connection between Hurts and Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown is electric. It's the most fun thing to watch, in my opinion. Defense is electric, too. I think they're really good at forcing quarterbacks to make decisions they don't want to, as well as capitalizing when they can make a mistake. They're first in takeaways, and they're tied for first in sacks.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I think that on all 3 levels, they're the Buffalo Bills of the NFC, the conference at this point. They had James Bradbury in the offseason. They have Darius Slay at cornerback. Their secondary is good. Their line's good on both sides of the ball. And they can run the ball and throw the ball. And Jalen Hurts is playing at an MVP caliber level right now.
I was going to say the same thing. I think besides the Bills, they look like the most complete team right now. And, you know, they built a team around Jalen Hurts, and it's working. It's working for them so far, and I think it's going to continue to work. I think if we're talking contenders or pretenders, this isn't a fluke. This is the real deal.
And we're giving a lot of Bills parallels right now, but one I would throw out there, when Josh Allen took that next step and he became that guy, it's because they got Stephon Diggs. They got his number one alpha receiver, and the Eagles got that in A.J. Brown, and he's third in the NFL in receiving right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd agree. A.J. Brown is the most significant offseason pickup for me in my book.
Yeah. All right. We're all in unison. The Eagles are contenders. Congratulations.
Easy.
You're going to the Super Bowl. Maybe we're jinxing them too. Let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team the Eagles beat over the weekend. Now, this one could be a little friskier. Faith, what do you think?
Okay, yeah. Here's the thing. I think that they are contenders. I think there's a big asterisk there. Trevor
Can you do that?
Lawrence. Can I put an asterisk
Yeah,
there
can
for
you do that?
contenders? Yeah, I mean,
I
I
acquiesce
just
with
did
that.
that.
I
I make
acquiesce.
the rules,
I acquiesce with
actually.
that take.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence has been improving, but Doug Peterson is a good head coaching hire, and Trevor Lawrence has been showing improvement,
Absolutely.
which is good.
I think he showed improvement in weeks 2 and 3. I think this last week it was painful nearly to watch the Jaguars. T-Law, like what happened, I don't know. And I think that's the thing. I think he's young. I think that overall the Jaguars are still being inconsistent. And I think that's the
going back to the Doug Peterson point, they got rid of Urban Meyer finally. It was a curse on the franchise. Doug Peterson, he's good at developing young quarterbacks, and he's going to do that with Trevor Lawrence. I like them a lot.
I also like their first round pick, their first overall pick. Trayvon Walker on the edge is really dynamic, has good speed on the edge for Jacksonville, and he's made an impact early on against the Commanders as well, against Carson Wentz.
And he complements the other Josh Allen, who already has 3 sacks this year. And on offense, they do have weapons. James Robinson, who was in Urban Meyer's doghouse all year, is suddenly one of the most explosive players in the NFL. Christian Kirk, who signed a really provocative free agency contract, is also
Safe to say.
fantastic,
Safe to say that.
fantastic addition. He already has 327 yards and 3 touchdowns, not to mention Zay Jones and Marvin Jones, the Jones brothers, not actually
What about
brothers,
Evan
biologically.
Ingram? What about
But
Evan
the
Ingram?
offense, they have weapons on that team. This team could easily win the AFC South, a division that nobody really wants to win, as it seems.
So are we all saying that they're contenders?
I
Is
think they're
that the-
contenders.
I still think they're pretenders.
Really?
I
Okay.
I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it though. I need to see more out of Trevor Lawrence and his development.
I think
Yeah.
we're too soon to call them contenders, but they're on their way there.
All right, let's move on to the 2 teams that played in last year's Super Bowl, who are both at 500, starting with the Los Angeles Rams. They've had some struggles this season. If you guys can believe it, they're the 28th best offense in the NFL this year. They've had so many struggles. Matt Stafford, he has 4 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this year, including 3 against the Bills in the opening game. This team seemingly predictable on offense, as it turns out. Jackson, what do you think?
Look, you mentioned that they were last in one category. I'll tell you another one. They're last in pressures on the quarterback. They used to be first last season. They're last. They underestimated the loss of Von Miller. Aaron Donald can't do everything. And that's, I think, the biggest problem on defense. On offense, they really just need to find other options that aren't named Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
think
thing.
like every
brought
time
in Allen
Cooper Kupp
Robinson.
is shut
Yeah,
down, they're out. Like Matt Stafford hasn't thrown a touchdown in 2 weeks?
He's not the juvenile delinquent he used to be.
No, he's not.
But what about Allen Robinson? He was supposed to be the replacement for Robert Woods / Odell Beckham Jr. And so far this season, he has 9 receptions. That was not the impact that he was supposed to have. And for an offense that, is playing defense that are forcing anybody but named Cooper Kupp to make a play, they're really struggling. I find them as a pretender. I'm not subscribing to them. They have the experience, but they've underestimated the losses of Odell Beckham, Robert Woods, and Von Miller.
Yeah.
This team's a pretender.
Same, and they're just getting hit with injuries after injuries. I mean, their O-line right now is just absolutely crushed, and there's too much pressure on Stafford. He can't get anything done.
I mean, going back to Stafford, he's not the guy he used to be. He's older now. He's not the Detroit that could tear his shoulder or whatever he did and then come back and make the play. He's old. He's getting frail. He's not the same guy
You're talking
anymore.
about a guy that had 41 touchdown passes last year. But I mean, again, to Sam's point, Robert Woods, Odell Beckham Jr., you don't have that. But Allen Robinson is a high-key marquee player. For the Chicago Bears last year, he was the guy for Justin Fields, and now he goes to an offense with Matt Stafford and the Super Bowl champs, and you're thinking the transition's going to be easy, but it just hasn't seen all results.
What about the team the Rams defeated in the Super Bowl, the Cincinnati Bengals? They started out at 0-2. Now they've picked themselves up. They've won 2 straight games, but they lost to the Steelers, who started Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. Then they lost to Cooper Rush, the backup for the Dallas Cowboys when everyone was calling the Cowboys season over after 3 quarters against the Buccaneers. The Bengals, how do we feel about them? Cam, over to you first.
I'm going to go pretenders on this one. I think that the Bengals didn't fix their weakness from last offseason, which is the offensive line. Joe Burrow's still getting sacked, and he still has no time to throw the ball. I think they're pretenders, and that's the sole reason. I just don't think they're playmakers on. A lot of people on their defense had Cinderella seasons, if you would. They had great seasons for their individual career highs, but
I don't know. Cam,
pretender.
I'm cutting you off here. I completely disagree. I think that they got off to a rocky start, a rough start, call it what you will. But I think that they're major contenders. I think that they're not to be underestimated. I think they're having trouble running the ball, but their defense is spot on. I mean, they do have the highest sack quarterback in the league, but they only allowed 1 touchdown in the last 11 quarters of play.
And look, at the end of the day, it's a Super Bowl hangover. Hangovers don't last forever. They took their Advil. They took their liquid IV. They're going to be better. I promise you. It's a little rough start. They're this close to being 4-0 if you think about it, between a missed field goal and all the plays that have happened. It's been real close.
Personally, I'm not very ever-sent about the Bengals this year. I also find them as a pretender, so I think that's a good way to put a cap on that. So essentially, yeah. Now let's move on one more time to the Minnesota Vikings. They're the last team on our segment. Contenders or pretenders? They're 3-1 right now, top of the NFC North.
I go contenders.
Guys, I don't know.
Contenders.
I don't know.
Pretenders.
Contenders.
Kirk Cousins is the most average quarterback I think I've ever seen in
But
the
Justin
NFL.
Jefferson, Adam Thielen,
Well, it doesn't matter how
It doesn't
good.
matter. How many
Now-
times can I hear over and over? It's Captain Kirk's year. It's Kirk's year. It's not
As a
good.
Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen fantasy owner, I am wondering where the heck have the targets been, because these players have not done anything for me. There are 3 games that JJ has not even had a touchdown. Adam Thielen had under 100 yards in every single game this year. This offense has so many weapons. I think they're a contender. They're going to win the NFC North. They beat the Packers. They have the talent. That's what I think. But I'm excited.
They're 3-1 and not in the
maybe,
same way.
maybe next week we'll talk about the defense. Let's move on.
Please.
The Miami Dolphins have also been one of the NFL standout surprise packages this year. But their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, is now in concussion protocol after sustaining 2 scary concussions in 5 days. But somehow, the Dolphins organization and the league let him play. Our very own Jeff Grundy has the story.
The eyes of the world are back on the NFL, but not for the football. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa was stretchered off the field on Thursday night after being concussed from a massive hit.
Tagovailoa is still down as they work on him.
The QB was thrown to the ground by Bengals nose tackle Josh Tupou, and his head violently hit the ground. Then Tua laid uncomfortably for 7 minutes before being taken off the field.
Very concerned, so the best news that we could get is that everything is checked out, that he didn't have anything more serious than a concussion.
This concussion comes just 4 days after Tua seemingly suffered head trauma in Miami's previous game against the Buffalo Bills. He went into the locker room at halftime, but returned for the second half. The Dolphins later listed it as a back injury. Neurologists are concerned that Tua could be susceptible to second impact syndrome, where a person suffers 2 concussions within a short period. It is especially concerning for Tua, who's only 24 years old. Frustration is building around Tua's short return to the field, specifically with fans wondering, why was Tua cleared to play again? The Dolphins have already announced that the doctor who had cleared Tua to play will be let go. The NFL and NFLPA have also announced that they will conduct an investigation into the Dolphins' handling of concussion evaluations against the Bills. On September 29th, Tua was discharged from the hospital and flew back with his Dolphins teammates following the game. There's currently no timetable for Tua's return, but as Dolphins coaches and league officials stand by, Tua's recovery seems much bigger than just getting back on the field. The question on everyone's mind, why was Tua allowed to play in the first place? For the Box Score, I'm Jeff Grundy.
Welcome back to the Box Score. I'm Sam DeCoste here with Cam Manning, Faith Pinnow, and Jackson Schock. You guys ready to play some Manila Mayhem?
Oh,
Heck yeah, baby. Heck
Let's
yeah.
do it. Here's how Manila Mayhem works. Here in my hands, I have 6 Manila envelopes. Inside each envelope is an MLB team that is headed to the postseason, 3 from each league. Each correspondent will have to randomly select an envelope, and when they open it, we'll have to argue why their team will be the 2022 World Series champions. Now, we are tried and true fans to our Manila envelope. It's ride or die. Let's get started. Jackson Schock, you will pick first. Congratulations. Pick a folder, any folder.
What's it gonna be?
It's like getting drafted.
We rehearsed this
Only one.
Pick the problem.
Yeah, only one, Jackson.
I'm
My
so
goodness.
sorry.
There you go.
Alrighty, let's see who I can get. Guys.
The Seattle Mariners, America's team. Why are they winning the World Series?
Guys, they're playing with house money. They have nothing to lose, everything to win. So they just broke their drought. Everyone knows about the drought. You mentioned it. Rodriguez was about this tall last time they were in the playoffs. That being
21
said,
years ago.
That being said,
Yeah.
they're riding a wave. Did you see the energy in that building? Not
Oh,
to
I
mention,
did.
the huge pickup of Luis Castillo, huge pitcher. They're sneaky good. They're not gonna have the strength of a DeGrom or a Scherzer, but they're gonna be sneaky good. They're gonna get you. And most importantly, if I'm a playoff team, the last place I want to play is Seattle. I don't want to play with that energy. I don't want to play with that crowd.
So if you're Toronto, are you shaking in your boots
For
playing
the Seattle Mariners?
Yeah.
I mean,
in Canada too?
I
All
don't
I'm gonna say, no, I would be. I'm gonna be. There's Toronto. No way I'm gonna do that.
You think that they
No
have
way I wanna go
you
to
think
Seattle.
that they have the experience? You think that they can make it through the wild card game? Do you think that they can make it to the World Series?
Yeah.
Really, truly.
Does Toronto have the experience?
no.
That's
no,
not.
that's
This
true.
is not my
This-
segment.
This is
Oh,
true.
I
This
asked
is true.
They don't have the experience. They're both going to play for the first time. The energy that team has, it's so special. The one thing you need in the playoffs that you can't get anywhere else is energy and heart. The fans have it. The team have it. They're going to win the World
Now,
Series.
this is a young team that has nothing to lose. The Blue Jays have a lot to lose. They were the preseason darlings to win the whole thing. So the pressure's on Toronto. None of the pressure's on Seattle. And that being said, Cam, you pick next.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Have your go.
All right, I'm going to pick the middle one here.
All right. That's always predictable. Cam always picks the middle.
Oh, baby.
Is it?
Start playing the trumpet song, baby,
All
for my boy Edwin Diaz. The New York Mets. Now, let me tell you why the Mets are going to win the World Series now. I'm going to give you 4 words, right? Max Scherzer, Jacob DeGrom. 2 All-Star Hall of Fame pitchers that can absolutely dominate any lineup they play. I mean, you also have the addition of Chris Bassett. You also have Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, all the Polar Bear, Pete Alonso. These guys are setting RBI records all over the place. Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso are electric for this ball club. Not to mention their defense this year has been spectacular. They rank like top 10 in the least amount of errors in the league, and they're just playing inspired ball. And Edwin Diaz, talk about electric with Seattle. Edwin Diaz, man, that guy can shut down any game he wants to, anytime, anywhere.
You mentioned the pitching. I got one word to counter that. Braves. The Braves
was about to
just
say
went
that.
through. They rolled through. They swept them. That doesn't scream I'm ready for the playoffs for me.
Yeah, I think that they're just a little bit too inconsistent. It doesn't scream playoff energy to me.
I mean, the Braves have young pitchers in Max Fried and Spencer Strider, who's a rookie, who haven't been in the play. Oh, Max Fried has been in the
I
playoffs.
saved the
but
Braves
Spencer-
for one of these. Maybe they're in here. Now, are the
Yeah, but
Mets
he's
even the best team
performing.
in their city?
He's
They have the
performing.
Yankees they're competing with. They've always been the little
yeah.
brother.
Yeah, the Yankees.
No, the Mets are better than the Yankees, I think, in my mind, personally. I think just the Yankees don't have the starting pitching depth. That's always been their Achilles heel for the past, 10 years, and the injury bug. They can't stay healthy. They're dealing with IR injuries right now, and also their pitching depth is not good. Even though Nestor Cortez was an all-star this year, I just still don't have faith in Jameson Taillon. Domingo Germán, get out of here with that. What are we talking about?
Speaking of faith,
Faith.
Cam Manning, it's faith
I'm
time.
literally
Pick a folder, so
here.
Faith, here you go.
Oh, guys, this is a really big moment for me. I'm also taking the middle. I don't know. Last time I did this game, it wasn't too kind to me. Oh, baby! We
Oh,
called it!
it's
We
the
called
big
it.
brother.
Yankees. I don't know. I want to make sure everybody can see
The
that.
big brother.
I'm going to say one thing to you all. Aaron Judge. Man has been eating his vegetables. He knows what he is doing. I mean, they have an incredibly experienced infield, probably one of the best infields in the entire league. And you know what? They have a good outfield, too. They are mean at bat, and they can really just make the offense happen and make the offense move. And I think that if there's one thing that this team can do, it is score. And I think that they're just incredibly competitive. I don't see any other team really surpassing them at this point. I mean, they have DJ LeMahieu coming back soon. They've got people coming back from injuries that are really just going to bolster their game. Josh Donaldson on third base, he's killing it. And yeah, I mean, I just think that with Judge and Oswaldo Cabrera in the outfield, this team's gonna sweep. No doubt.
Really?
No doubt about it.
Who are you
Guys,
pitching?
you sleep on me with my picks. I picked this Manila
I'm
folder.
storing on
and
that
I
pick.
stand by. I don't know. You want me on the show because I keep it spicy and I keep it real, and this is my spicy real take.
I
Yankees are taking the World Series.
the sriracha take that you're giving to me right now.
You're welcome.
Aaron Judge, historical season, 62 home runs. It's now an AL record.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Judge family. That's great. But he's accounting for over 20% of the Yankees' runs this year. Like, who, if Judge is having a cold at bat, who's going to come up? Gleyber Torres, Giancarlo Stanton? Please and no thank you.
I mean,
this
you
team
can
is
say
not
that-
going
you can
anywhere.
say that
This
about
team,
any team,
Faith,
Sam.
the Houston Astros. Let me introduce you to the Houston Astros. This team is undefeated against the Yankees in postseason history. They're the #1 seed. This could be a collision course between the Yankees and Astros. Honestly, if that happened, listen, it is going to be Astros all day long. They're going to pluck those puny little pinstripes off of that Yankee polyester. Yankees
I
lose.
don't think so. I just don't see that happening. I think the argument that if something happens to Aaron Judge, if he's not having a hot day at bat, that the Yankees aren't going to be able to perform. I disagree with that. I think you have a star player, and I think that he's performing, and I think he's performing consistently. He has all season, and I see it going all the way. Period.
All right. Well, that's it for this round of Manila Mayhem. Great job, everybody. That was a fantastic game. In other news, Arsenal are back. In fact, they're first place in the Premier League. How did that happen? Jackson Tolliver has the details.
Sammy, that is exactly right. Arsenal on top of the Premier League. They're first with 21 points. That's 1 point ahead of Manchester City. And they just thrashed Tottenham 3-1 over the weekend. So they look really good. Manager Mikel Arteta seems like a really affable guy. He's finally found some ground with this young squad. He's made some key additions this past summer. He went out and got Gabriel Jesus, the former Manchester City reject. Well, guess what? He's already racked up 5 goals in 8 games. That wasn't all. City threw them Zinchenko at left back. Not to mention 21-year-old William Saliba, Ligue 1's Young Player of the Year last season, is already making an impact in his first senior season at Arsenal. And don't forget, this team already has impressive young talent, including Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, and Martin Odegaard. And of course, the brick wall, Aaron Ramsdale, holding it down in net. This is not the same Arsenal we've seen the last 5 years since Arsene Wenger left that club. Maybe early in the season, but Arsenal has been one of the most dangerous outfits in Europe's top 5 leagues. And they're more explosive going forward and as solid in the back as they've been in a long, long time. Arsenal look primed to push for their first top 4 finish since 2016, and who knows, they might even have a chance to win it all this year.
Very cute story, Tolliver. In fact, I'd love you to tell it again, but be honest with me. Do you actually think Arsenal FC will win the Premier League? Where do you really think they're going to stay?
You know, Sam, I still got Manchester City at the top. If the whole team were to get injured miraculously and couldn't play anymore, maybe Arsenal would get it. I got them locked at top 4, though. You can call that my lock of the week. Arsenal is going to be locked top 4 Champions League next year, but they're not going to win it all. They're not quite there yet.
That's all the time we have for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in to the season premiere of The Box Score. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at EIV Box Score. You can also follow me at the Sam DeCoste. And keep your eyes peeled for our next episode for some more red hot analysis like this. The Seattle Seahawks will make the playoffs this year. I believe in Geno Smith. He is that guy. For Cam Manning, Faith Pinnow, Jackson Tolliver, and Jackson Chalk, and Jeff Grundy, I'm Sam DeCoste, and we'll see you next time. We're out.